Welcome to SFlive, and you're running for?
Treasurer.
And your name is?
Anna Belkine. You may not have seen my posters around, mainly because I think posters generate a great deal of garbage and they get torn down anyway, so I haven't been making a lot. The ones that I did make are in recycled paper with Sharpies and things like that, but there haven't been a lot of those. So I'm hoping to get through other channels, like paperless channels out there.
Awesome. All right, so why don't we start with my my sixth question. So what do you know about the SFSS system and constitution?
Well, SFSS constitution, actually we're planning to get it with me. It's a piece of paper about this big, and it says, yes, we're Simon Fraser Student Society. We are there to kind of give students a collective voice and provide some services, that sort of thing. So as far as Constitution goes, it is just like the American Constitution, a largely symbolic document. So as for the second question that you gave me over the email, do I plan to change it? No, there's really no reason to change it. It essentially just gives direction to the student society. Along with the Constitution, there are also there's three things that affect the way we do things. One of them is the bylaws, which can be changed only by referendum or at an annual general meeting. So we're going to be voting on some of the bylaws this referendum. Second one is policies, and policies are guidelines to the way the society should be run. For instance, financial policies. There's plenty of policies that say, if we have a check requisition, then we staple the minutes for the meeting where it was approved, that sort of thing. That's as a policy. Mm-hmm. And third is the Society Act of BC or Canada. I think it's BC.
I think so.
that we also follow. And it is an act by which all non-profit societies are run. Policies are the only ones that the board actually has direct jurisdiction over, in a sense that we can change policies without an AGM. We can change policies without a referendum.
And is there any policies that you're looking at changing or amending?
Yes, actually there's a few. Unfortunately, they're not really shiny policies. Like, I'm not going to reduce tuition fees or give everybody a puppy. So one of the policies concerns the accessibility fund. Actually, that would come to referendum if I were to change it. So accessibility fund is money that students voted to a fund that is supposed to make SFSS events more accessible to students with disabilities. That sounds really good, and we've used a lot of that fund to, for instance, have our events transcribed on a computer and projected for those who cannot hear very well. However, there's a lot more money than we know what to do with. And at the same time, we really want this to make the lives of students with disabilities more better. So what we can do is maybe change the priorities. For instance, the students can use devices that make it easier to hear and to see in our meetings, but they cannot, according to what the policy of Accessibility Fund use those things for their classes, for instance. And that is something that we can change. It just needs some sort of process to change it, because the students voted for this fund with those particular written requirements in mind. So I know it's a lot of words, but it is a complicated issue. Mm-hmm. So that's the one that comes to mind as far as the policy.
All right, so you're running for treasurer, and why do you think you're best for that job?
Simply enough, I know what I have to do. I know what the job entails. As it's hardly unknown fact, but I'm married to the current treasurer. I can't say that it has given me an unfair advantage over other candidates, but it definitely has given me an advantage, mainly because I have been on the board. I am the current science representative to the board. I've gotten interested in that job about 3 months ago, and since then I've been learning about it, essentially learning what can be done, learning what could be done, learning how I can best perform it. So I know a lot of things about it, and I have real tangible goals that I've set.
Right. And apart from, how long have you been science rep?
Oh, for a year. So science rep is another elected position to the board. Well, essentially the board consists of executive board members and representative board members. So executive members is everything that doesn't have a rep attached to it. Mm-hmm. Executive members are, well, president, treasurer, internal relations officer, member services officer, that sort of thing. They have very targeted portfolios. They actually have specific work that needs to be done by them for the society. Representative members don't really have a specific agenda. They're there for two reasons. They're there to pursue pet projects. Like, for instance, my pet project has been trying to figure out how we can make maybe a tutoring service for mathematics here at SFU. They're there to run those pet projects and actually try and see what their constituents want. Mm-hmm. And they're also there to keep the executive in check. Because while the executive gets to essentially